So the one issue that most footballers face is on how to improve themselves. And the reason for this is because they get stuck in this endless loop of analysis paralysis, whereby they keep researching and researching and researching for the latest drill or the best program that they can possibly find without realizing that that is actually what is holding them back. So if you've ever been there, today I've got a 3-step framework for you that will help you take your football to the next level without having to worry about the latest drills, the latest programs, or getting caught watching all these Instagrammers. Let's get into it. So before we get into that framework, there are 5 aspects that you need to improve on if you want to become a complete footballer. And those 5 are physical, tactical, technical, social, and mental. Now to break these down even more, in technical, you've got another 5 aspects: passing, shooting, dribbling, ball control, and heading. In physical, you've got 5 as well. You've got strength, agility, speed, endurance, and coordination. Tactical is basically your positioning, being able to read the game, understanding who to pass to and when to pass, understanding when to make that run, etc., etc. Social is being able to communicate with your teammates on and off the field, and also being able to keep in touch and communicate with your coaches and tell them what you think you need to improve on, or ask them what they think you need to be improving on. And mental is basically your self-control, your self-confidence, your work rate, and also how you deal with setbacks, especially when things aren't going your way. Now that you know what aspects you need to improve on, you would also want to know that most of the time, amateur players significantly underestimate how much of effort that needs to go into improving their game if they want to be a professional. Most of the time, you think that you need to do 3, 5, or 10 times whatever you're doing right now in order to improve your game and become a professional. But the reality is you need to be doing at least 30, 40, or 50 times whatever you're doing right now if you want to make it to the top 1%. And if you're training 50 times more, you would also want to rest 50 times more. But that sounds so contradictory because we only have so much of time in a day. So how do we achieve a balance between more training and more rest? And this is where this framework comes into play. So the first step of this framework is to do it better. This means that you have to improve the quality of every rep that you're putting into your training so that you get the best out of every rep. This means that you need to give your full focus in the rep, and you need to make that rep as perfect as possible. It might not be perfect every single time because no rep really is perfect, but you have to take it to as close to perfection as you possibly can. Also, when we're training, most of the time, us footballers have 100 other things that are running around in our mind. And so when you go out there to train, make sure you clear your head because this will help you give your full attention to the rep that you're doing. And although this sounds difficult, trust me, if you can pull it off, you will be mentally stronger for it. One way to do this is to imagine your favorite coach is standing in the corner and watching you. Maybe it's Pep, maybe it's Jurgen Klopp, maybe it's Serena Wiegman, whoever it is. Imagine them standing in the corner and watching you perform every rep, and they're judging you for it. So you not only want to impress them as coaches, but you also want to express yourself as a player to those coaches. Also, make sure you take breaks when needed. And a good way to do this is to follow the rule of 4. Then I found out about this rule in Oscar's channel, so make sure you check the description down below because I'll leave the link for his video if you want to know what it's like in more detail. But basically, the rule of 4 is that you perform every exercise for 4 reps, and then you take a break, and then you come back again and you do it for another 4 reps. And this is because after 4 reps, the brain tends to decline in focus, and therefore you will not be able to perform the rest of the reps at 100% intensity with 100% focus. And make sure you do this with every other aspect as well. So if you're going to sleep, sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, get 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of quality sleep, put away all your gadgets, put away anything that will pop up in the middle of the night, put away any light. And you can do this with your nutrition as well. You eat your macros, you eat your micros, you eat healthier foods, you make better choices, you ditch the oily foods, and you stick to the ones that will actually bring you benefits on the field. So this is how you increase the quality of whatever you're doing. This is the first step of doing it better. Once you've done the first part, which is improving the quality of whatever you're doing, now you want to move on to the second part of the framework, which is doing more. And this is basically you increasing the quantity of whatever you're doing. You put in more reps and more hours of work. And this step can only be done after you've completed the first step, which is quality, because if you don't have quality, you would be doing the wrong things and you'd be doing it over and over again, and then you'll just get really good at doing it really badly. And I'm pretty sure most of us here have heard about the 10,000 hour rule. And the thing is that the 10,000 hour rule only applies once you've mastered the quality and the technique of whatever you're doing, because then when you increase the quantity of what you're doing, everything else just falls into place. And also remember, if you're simply just chasing the hours, then you're not going to get anywhere because your training quality is going to be really, really low and you're not actually going to improve, but you're just going to be wasting your time. And also, if you're training more, you're going to have to rest more, which means you might have to sleep longer at night, or if possible, you might have to take afternoon nap, or maybe do some extra foam rolling after your training, or maybe add a stretching routine into your training sessions so that you are able to recover properly after that. Also, make sure you eat the right foods and you eat enough of it so that your body is able to recover after that long, hard training session. And once you do the second part right, now is when you'll slowly start seeing improvements in your game. Now, the third and final step of this framework is to do something new. So this is where you make your training harder, either by doing it faster, or you add more cues, or maybe you do a new drill that you've never tried before, or you do it on an uneven surface, anything that adds a new stimulus into your training. And a way to approach this for your rest and recovery is maybe to try a new recovery method. Say you've never tried warm baths before, or you've never tried a massage gun before, then you can get those and try those and see if they help you improve any better. And if you want to know which recovery tools to spend your money on and which ones are going to be the best for you, then I have a video in the description box down below where I've ranked all the recovery tools from the S tier all the way down to the F tier, and that will help guide you with your recovery. But now back to the framework. The biggest problem with most players is that they jump to this third step without actually first completing the first and second step. If you keep jumping on the opportunity to do every new skill or drill that you see online, then you're never going to improve because you're not actually putting in the effort to master the technique and then to do it repetitively so that you actually see improvements in your game. Just because something looks good doesn't mean you have to try it out, because most of the fancy skills that you see players do, they are all built upon fundamentals that they have already mastered. Say I take an example like an around the world. To do an around the world, you don't actually have to practice the around the world thousands of times. Although that may help, what you need to master first is the basics. And if you break down an around the world, the basics of an around the world is that you have to master your juggling and your feet have to be quick for you to loop around the ball. So once you get fast feet and once you learn how to juggle the ball comfortably, then when you put those two together, you actually get a perfect around the world. So if you master the basics, the advanced skills will actually come naturally to you because the advanced skills are built upon those basics. Without actually properly mastering the basics, that is when you struggle and you feel like everyone else is improving and you're the only one that has plateaued. Now remember that all of your progress has to be made in this order of better, more, and new. And if you skip the steps, then you're only harming yourself. But if you want a step-by-step guide on how pros analyze their game and get feedback from their coaches to help them improve, then check out this video right here. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that, smash the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.